Hi, Terence.
Hi,
nice to have you here for the first program of Lunettes Noires for Nuit Blanche.
Thank you.
Can you introduce us to our friend?
Yes, this is Mr. A,
yeah.
Mike Timothy.
Yeah.
And this is Mr. Ecstasy here.
Mr. Ecstasy.
Perv, yeah.
And you know Claude Charles?
Of course I know Claude.
So you decided to settle in France. Why did you choose to spend, let's say, 1 month in France?
Basically because I was getting too cooped up at home in London. I love London. And I didn't want to admit earlier that I really had a thing against Paris for a long, long time. But it's probably one of the only places left where you can still walk down the street and people, respect you and give you your space. And after being cooped up for a long time, it exerts a certain physical pressure. And you need to just sort of come out and let the air hit you again. And it's probably the perfect place for that. It's a beautiful city. It's a very romantic city.
But listen, you were living in the States. You left the States to come in England, and then you left England to come to France.
Well, I didn't say I
You have a problem?
Well, maybe I'm a bit of a gypsy or vagabond.
Yeah.
So I can see myself living in London for a very, very long time. But I think, again, you need a place where you can walk down the street and feel comfortable, where people like you and they accept you, but they give you your freedom and your space.
Where do you stay in Paris? I won't ask you to tell your address because there will be many, many people in front of your house, but what kind of place of the city did you choose?
It's, I think it's somewhere around the Bastille.
Yeah?
Like lovely, funky little area. It's okay, we all sort of stay in it, like a sort of slight hippie-esque commune.
Yeah.
We share various things. It's quite okay.
But how is plan your life? You write material for your next album?
Well, all the material is basically written. It's finished. It was basically finished a long time ago. It's just now sort of because we'd been on the road for such a long time, and I had been doing other things, taking care of business and stuff. You just can't come out of not being in the ocean for a long time and then jumping straight back in. You sort of make a gradual transition. And that's sort of what I'm here for. We sort of came under the premise to do a bit of work. We wound up doing fuck all, really. Just sort of hanging out every night, seeing Claude's face.
You hang on every night with Claude?
Yeah, basically every other night we see each other.
Can you tell us about your next album? Even if you don't want to tell very much, but just some indications for the people who love you.
Well, I think of what we've accomplished since the first album is a certain surprise that everyone wonders what the next one's going to sound like. I'm very pleased with that. So if I sort of said to you what it was going to sound like, it will not sound like, well, I won't say what it's going to sound like. It will be, the rumors are true that it will be a double album.
Double, directly.
Double album.
Yeah.
It's not so hard to do a double album with the second album?
I wouldn't do it unless the material was there. I wouldn't, it's such a, but at the same time, I think there's definitely a rogue element in my character, and it's one of those things if you can get away with, you know instinctively that people will say, who the hell is this person to do a double album that's a second album? And I really like doing things that make people pissed off and just sort of make them reevaluate their sort of tepid, tired opinions, I guess. So it's, you put yourself into a corner. If you can't pull away with it, come away with it, people say bad move. But if we pull the rabbit out of the hat, like I think we will do, it's going to be seen as a bold move. So
you know that Prince decided to buy a flat in Paris, and you met him because we've been asking last week. We've been asking Farnioli, his manager, about you, and he said, "I said, aren't you a little bit afraid of Terence Trent D'Arby?" He said, "We love him very much." And so, you met Prince already?
Yes, we've hung out on a couple of occasions. Yeah, I'm not the sort of person that I'm not the sort of person that's like jealous. That's a jealous sort of person. There are people that I envy, but I'm not a jealous sort of person. But Prince is to my generation what Sly Stone was to his generation, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for him, and in a lot of ways I do love him, you know. But I think if it were not for him, it wouldn't have. You know, my album came out, and especially in America, where it's such a very closed place, you know, where blacks do this and whites do that, and it's all complete fuckers. It just, we defied all sort of logistics. And if it weren't for Prince coming along before, it would have been much more difficult for me. So I truly appreciate him, you know.
He is involved in spirituality and sex. Are you too? In both?
Well, I look at it like this. I mean, taking that question quite seriously. You find that most of the great music, a certain, my musical heritage is probably equal rock and roll, soul, R&B, or whatever. I can't say that one has influenced me more than the other. But if you do look at the great sort of black soul singers, you will find the dichotomy between sex and spirituality to always be a main issue in the heart of their music. Certainly Marvin Gaye suffered with that. Certainly Al Green suffered with that. Teddy Pendergrass suffered with that. Even Jerry Lee Lewis.
You read the book about Marvin Gaye's life?
Yes, Divided Soul.
He was very involved in it, no?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think any person who feels that they have some sort of higher calling has to balance between spirituality and lust. But if one's ever done any acid or anything like that, I think you begin to appreciate the fact that lust is probably a very grounding emotion, because if it were not for lust, I think too many of us would spend most of our time too far up in the clouds trying to ponder the way of the world as opposed to just getting laid like every good person should do every now and then.
You like French girls? You are very interested in young actresses, no? Young movie stars,
French acting.
Is
Why?
You gossip.
No, I'm not gossiping. No, I'm telling you that because I'm
Let
sure.
me say this.
No, because you want to
You
be.
were asking me about Prince living in Paris, right?
Yeah.
See, the reason I don't want to get a flat in Paris is because I think this town might not be big enough for me and Prince to live at the same time.
Yeah.
Right? But beyond that, I mean, I'm young, and I think, to be honest, you know, people go. You know, I mean, it's I think a completely normal, natural thing that if you're young and you're enjoying some success, you appreciate the attention that you get from.
No, but I was serious
young
because
French
I'm sure that you want to be involved in movie making.
So I am therefore,
That's
I think
why
it's
maybe
best for me
you
to hang
are
out with French
interested in young
actresses to learn
actresses.
techniques and things like this. It's purely business, mind you, nothing else.
But in music business now, we need a movie, we need a clip, we need everything. It's very visual. It's always the artist now so interesting for the visual.
Are you in touch with any director for your next clip?
No, but I have one of the people that I try to see when I come over is Roman Polanski, and I mean he's so far above that sort of thing. I would never really ask him, but at the same time I would like to work together with him or something like that.
You have a good feeling with Roman.
Yeah, I think he's a lovely, lovely person, and he knows how to. There's very few people left who truly know how to party.
You went super fast to the top, and don't you think that some mistakes were done?
Yeah,
like if you
sure, some mistakes were done, but I think if I had to,
especially with the media, I think, because you don't you think that you should.
My mistake wasn't overestimating the media. That was definitely my mistake. It wasn't anything. You know, I really thought, you know, because I read the papers and stuff, and especially in England and America, you see far too often artists, you know, they say, I don't want to talk about sex or religion or politics or not the record company. I only want to talk about my record, and I must say that this is the best record I've ever done. I'm very happy with it. You know, and I thought, well, they're always complaining that no one comes and speaks out.
Maybe you were a big mouth, no?
Yeah, of course I was a big mouth, but
C'est fait remarquer comme ça.
I was trying to. I was really
maybe
trying
your
to.
record were sufficient to make you known, and you didn't.
Well, I wasn't going
need
to take
do
that chance. I wasn't going to take that chance because there are too many people out there with a lot of talent. And how do I know deep down inside that the only reason my album wasn't very successful compared to someone else was that the way I spoke captured people's attention. And that album was a a bunch of children that I'd given birth to. And as the mother of those children, I was not about to leave to chance that someone might walk into the shop and pass it up for someone else's album. So I was going to do everything within my power to capture your attention, so that you would be compelled to listen to what this big, this album that this Big Mouth is going around talking about. I didn't mean half of what I said, but at the same time, what I did mean.
There were problems about your legend, and people say he's telling this to be,
Well, but with the legend thing, to be honest with you, 95% of that was true. Sure, things were exaggerated. A couple things were exaggerated, but everything there is true.
And now you decided to speak out your heart normally.
Well, I was doing that most. The thing was, 50% of what I was saying I sincerely meant, and the other 50% was basically bullshit. But that's art. Art is half reality, half bullshit. If you're a great artist, it's mostly bullshit.
You think you're a great artist?
No, I'm trying. I want to be a great
Everybody
artist.
thinks it.
And I think if I didn't think that maybe some potential was not there, maybe I wouldn't push myself so hard. But time will tell. We have someone like Prince, and Prince has 10 albums and maybe 12 years for us to look and say, yes, that's a great artist. I think I need the same amount of time. Yeah.
Is there a question that I didn't ask you and you wanted me to ask you?
Why is it so hard to get drugs in this city? I don't understand.
Et pour être sûr de ne rien rater de Inarditube, abonnez-vous et mettez un pouce bleu.